It is an absolute pleasure to be part of this prestigious event this morning. My name is Jacinta Uzintlokangobese from Vuma FM, and I'm going to be your host for this morning. Please. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. You guys are so kind. Oh, my word. I'm going to try and be... Okay, let me say this. I'm going to avoid jokes altogether. I don't want to be slapped by anybody this morning. I'm not trying to get myself in that situation. But today we're all gathered here to be part of this amazing program where we're looking at so many things that need to be looked at within our communities when it comes to people with disabilities and sports. And we're all here today, multi-talented as we are, to make sure that this kicks off on a very high note and that it's not only going to end today, but today is only the beginning. I'd like to firstly acknowledge ikhulu zethu esihlangene nazo namhlanje. Firstly, I'd like to welcome Councillor Mr. Hlongwa, who is representing leadership of eThekwini Municipality. Namhlanje, Councillor Hlongwa, ngicela simshayele izandla. Ngokukhulu kuyithoba, also like to welcome Ubaba Tim Chunu, who is the president of the KZN Sports Confederation. Okhona naye phakathi kwethu, ngicela simshayele izandla. And I'll also take this opportunity and welcome from the KZN Association, Ubaba, Academy rather, Ubaba Ace Kosana, ngicela simshayele izandla khona naye la nangu lapha phambili. And then I'd like to welcome all senior managers from eThekwini Municipality, okuyibona-ke who made usuku lanamhlanje possible. Sicela ukubonga nje kuqala. So their department is now called the Department of Sports and Arts and Culture within the eThekwini Municipality. And then time, and thank you for being here. And then I'd also like to welcome the VIPs of the day, the guests that are very, very important, and that's you. Thank you so much for being here. Please give yourself a round of applause. So today is no coincidence that I'm wearing blue. Actually, it was all planned. Today is World Autism Awareness Day. And it's a very important day in the world in general because we acknowledge that there are people who are loved, who are appreciated, who are all over the world, who are born with autism and who are living with it on a daily. Now, the theme from the United Nations is inclusion, quality education for all. All right, so I'd just like to open up by quoting a very, I think this quote really did touch my heart. So I can say it's a very prolific one. It's from Robert M. Hensel, and it says, "There is no greater disability in society than the inability to see a person as more." So the message today is all of us here are more. And that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to get the best out of each and every one of us. And all the sports codes that are represented today will give out and bring out the best in everyone. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're more. Now, the ladies standing next to me are going to be assisting me with the program for today. And I'd like to welcome them. Ms. Thembi Umadlala. Now, she's going to be taking care of our introduction, presentations, and topics. Please can give her a round of applause. And then we've got Ms. Princess Ramangwele, who is going to be doing our floor and handling all the questions that come from the floor and managing them to our panelists for today. Please can you give Princess a round of applause. So it's time for us now to get the program going. We're going to start by opening up with leadership here to Ekona namhlanje njengoba bese ngishilo earlier on. We're going to be we are joined rather by Mr. Hlongwane, who is a councillor for Ward 19 and also a committee member Konala Kumaspala Wetegu. So I'm going to be asking him to join me very shortly. But while he's making his way onto the stage, there's a video that's going to be playing on the monitors right here. And I'm going to ask you to please keep your eyes on the screens. And then you're going to see this safety video. It's got all the important tips that we need to know njengoba sila namhlanje. Okay. While we're preparing for the video, you can also just tell everyone that we're live at Ethekwini Municipality,
where the world meets Africa. As a leading world-class events facility, we make your safety our #1 priority. Please give us your attention for a few minutes to take you through some of the important health and safety information. Whilst here, please help us to prevent the spread of COVID-19 by following these simple steps. Upon arrival at the Durban ICC, you would have been screened for symptoms by way of a temperature check and a health questionnaire. Please remember to keep a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from other people at all times. Wear a mask for the duration of the event when not eating or drinking. Avoid touching your face. Wash your hands for 20 seconds using soap and water as often as possible. If you can't wash your hands, use the hand sanitizer provided throughout the facility. If you are experiencing any of the COVID-19 symptoms, please contact one of our staff members who can assist you further. As the Durban ICC is a public space, please remember to keep your personal belongings safe and with you at all times. We have many bathrooms for your use around the venue. They are clearly marked in the foyer and concourse areas. The Durban ICC is a smoke-free building, but we do have clearly marked smoking zones outside the main entrance and opposite the concourse area. Please make use of these areas and the ashtrays provided when you smoke. In the event of a medical emergency, please dial the emergency number 031 360 1007 for assistance. The Durban ICC has developed a very simple emergency evacuation plan that everyone must be familiar with. Our staff are specially trained and will be there to assist you in following this. In the event of an evacuation, an announcement will be made to leave the venue. Please remain calm and walk swiftly to the nearest emergency exit in the concourse area. These exit doors are clearly marked. Security officers and the marshals will also help to direct you out of the building. Please do not use any lifts or escalators in the event of an emergency. Once outside, you will be directed to the nearest assembly point by the marshals for your safety. Please wait at the assembly point until the venue has been cleared and a marshal deems it safe for you to return to your seats. Thank you for your time and enjoy this event.
Thank you so much. So as I had mentioned, we are live right now on Ethekwini Municipality's Facebook page. That's Ethekwini Municipality. Please do let everyone know who was not able to be here today. I'm now going to make way for Ukhansela Uhlonga. Cela simshayele izandla.
Good morning, everyone. Siphinde sithi sanibonani. Lo ophamweni ke bathi ukhansela uhlongwa othunywa umkhandlu ukuthi azonamukela. Sonke sifile sisekhaya. To feel at home. Sibonga kakhulu kwikomiti elibhekela kakhulu kwisports. Siphinde sibongelele kakhulu indlunkulu kwaZulu. Siphinde sibingelele kakhulu inkosi yaseMaqadini ngoba sikemhlabeni wayo nayo la kuphinde kube yithina ke esomkhandlu walo leli theku elidunguzayo sifuna nifile nisekhaya into enhle ke namhlanje nizomukela umuntu ofana nani oyinina. Mhlampe ngabe kuthiwa kuya ngami ngabe ngithi asishayile izandla kakhulu kulokho. Umuntu ke abonge leli thuba nje elincane lokubingelela nokwamukela. Siyanamukela siseThekwini omkhandlwini engicathi oqala ngqa eSouth Africa yonkana ukukhiqiza kakhulu uhlobo olunjengathi lidisibuli enhlakeni zesports naseyinhlakeni ezihlukene. Lokho nje kukodwa fast kwazi ukushayela ihlombe kakhulu. Umuntu aphinde abonge ukuthi umkhandlu wethu ukhona unjalo futhi ukwazi ukuthi ube nekhansela elifana nami waphinde walamukela futhi wahlala nalo. So lokho kukodwa nje kukhulu fast kushayela ihlombe kakhulu. Sijabuliswe nje iloko ukuthi ke kusasa ngelilanga nathi sizophinda sikhiqize amanye amakhansela siyilomkhandlu awuhlobo lethu ngokuhlwana kwalo kona wonke umzimba we-disability ukuthi sibe nawo amanye amakhansela ukuze sokwazi ukuthi imfuno zethu esifisayo sikwazi ukumelela kuzona zonke. So siyebophezela ke siwumkhandlu weTheku ukuthi umuntu okhubazekile fast hleze simbeka phambili because yena ucindezeleke kakhulu kunabanye. Ngoba ufika acindezeleke ekhaya aphinda acindezeleke la ngaphandle emephuma. So into yokuqala leso umkhandlu wethu esizama ukulwa nayo ngayo yonke indlela. Umuntu nje akabonge anamukele. Siyabonga.
Sibonge kakhulu. Sesizocela ke manje our keynote address, which we're going to be getting from the president of the KZN Sports Confederation, the Honorable Ubaba Uthami Mchunu. As he comes forward, I will give you the password if you cannot see it on the screens. It's Durban ICC Wi-Fi, that's the Wi-Fi, and the password is meetings at 2020. For you to be able to share the live stream that's currently being broadcast live on the eThekwini Municipality portal. Please make sure we share as much as possible because we need this to reach as many people as possible. It's a conversation that we also would like people on social platforms to be able to be part of. Please, can you give a round of applause to Ubaba Umacingwane as he comes forward to give his address?
Thank you, Program Director. I was surprised that I might adjust the mic, but not after Justin Carr was here. Normally, I have to adjust it. Program Director, before I say a lot and you take me off the stage, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to recognize the leadership of eThekwini, represented here by Ubaba uKhansela uHlongwa. Siyabonga kakhulu baba nangamazwi amahle osemukele ngawo. Recognizing the senior leadership in administration of eThekwini, in sports, as well as the VIPs of the day, the athletes, the officials coming from the disability sector. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I just hope that we will stick to the program, stick to the timelines, because it is part of the plan that we will use good morning as I've used. We'll later use good afternoon, but I'm sure we are not going to use good evening. That will be a serious problem. Let us applaud the ngezandla eziningi umkhandlu waseThekwini ngokuhlela such a very important conference and at such a very kind of venue. So shayela ihlombe. I'm saying this because it has showed that what is being done today is not done for the sake of doing it, just to tick the boxes and say we did it. Imagine if this event was held in any other venue outside the city, the inner part of the city. I don't want to mention places because it will be like I'm casting aspersion to that place. But if most of the affluent functions, eThekwini Metro is holding them in such a venue, and then we have a disability conference shelved somewhere where nobody can see, then we would know that this is lip service. But, Baba, Councillor, please pass our gratitude. The seriousness and the dignity that has been given to the disability sector. It's very important and very encouraging. And we hope with all the deliberations, when you do, because I like what you normally say, nothing about us without us. You are here. Please engage. Of course, there will be those who will be leading the discussions, but they will be leading you to discuss. So let us take our rightful place as the disability sector. I would understand when your disability is about ears. But if your disability is about anything else, do it yourself, because you have heard what is said, go and do what is going to be said. I'll make an example. I'm not going to mention a name and the place that was involved. We had advertised employment opportunities for the legends. And then when the closing date has come, I received a call. By the way, I'm not dealing directly with it. It's the organization that is dealing with it. There are some people who are delegated to do it. But I received a call from somebody from the disability sector asking me if amongst the applications, are there any disability people, disabled people who have applied? I said, I'm not dealing with the project. I haven't received the report yet because it has not been processed. And then he continued complaining that we didn't encourage disabled people to apply. But I said the advertisement carried that. No, you should have done all other efforts to encourage them. Maybe he was correct at that time, but from today, he would be wrong. Because when we are having this conference, it's about taking all communities together in sports. Not to say, go and play out there and you go and play in the center stage. If there's athletics, we are expecting, and it is already happening, that when we have championships in the province, athletes with challenges, various disability challenges, are participating in the same program, but differing with items, but same day, same time, in the same arena. And that is what we want to see in all sports. And we want to see today not about pointing fingers to the disability sector, but pointing fingers to the so-called mainstream sports. Are they doing enough to ensure that the disability sector is ably harmonized into the situation? Are they doing enough? That is $1 million question. Because they have been told from SASCOC and through their national bodies that they should adjust in order for that to happen. We don't want a situation whereby disabled sport was thriving, sekudlalwa, ba-enjoy abantwana bethu. Bese kuthi uma sebehlanganiswe ne-mainstream sports, singabe sisababona. Uzwe sekuthiwa i-program isikhathi esihambile, cha amanye ama-items sobuye siwabona. Mawuthi yabona abala ama-items hayi awe-disability. We don't want that situation. If isikhathi esihambile, sihambele wonke umuntu. Uma sikhona sikhonela wonke umuntu. Kodwa-ke, I will send a strong advice to our disability community. Today, we want to see you being unchained. Niyeke ukuboshwa. Niboshwa zinhliziyo zenu ezinenza nizenyeze kwabanye abantu. Not because niyazenyeza, it's because abantu mhlawumbe niyababona they don't want to mix with you. If umchunu engafuni ukumixa nawe, it's very difficult ukuthi ulokhu uyisondeza kumchunu. Ugcina usumele kude. Kodwa kuyingozi ke umchunu esethe ufuna ukumixa nawe, wena ulokhe uhlehla. Nike nibone angazi noma inkukhu nisayibona yini noma senihlangana nazo. Siqaqiwe ilokhu limisile lolunyawo. Kodwa seyiqaqiwe. So ke I'm humbly requesting that from today, that's why I tell them for mhlambe waye right on the other day, but from today, take your rightful place. You are unchained today. Run with it. Enjoy life. Enjoy yourselves. And we also applaud the athletes that have received accolades or imkomelo, emkulu in the country or even representing KZN in national championships. Indeed, Baba Uhlongwa, we are proud of them. Very proud. Even South Africa, Baba Skosana will agree with me. The Olympic medals, most of them are coming from Paralympics, boasting about being able bodies when we are unable to bring trophies, when we are unable to bring medals. Colleagues, let's enjoy, respect each other, but drive our point home. Respecting does not mean that hold back on your points. push them, but in a constructive manner. Thank you very much.
Ngicela simshayele izandla again ubaba uMacengwane. Siyabonga kakhulu, siyabonga ubuholi ukuthi bukazi nokuyihlanganisa iprogram ebaluleke kanje. Ngizocela ke uSithembi eze ngaphambili, uyena kozobe se facilitator iprogram yethu okuyiyona ebalulekile singayo namhlanje yama presentations and panel discussions. Sithembi ngabe usondela. Nawe kuma ngabe khona imibuzo that you draw from the presentations that are being made, please don't hesitate to note your questions down. We are going to be opening up the floor for you so that we can take your questions, and the relevant people to answer those questions are here. So please make sure that you write that down and that you keep those questions coming. We've got a pen and a paper for that because it's an interactive session. We want to get from you as much as you are getting from the panel. Thank you so much.
Sanmonani. Sanmonani. Dumelang. Good morning. Why akufanele ukuthi sibe set. Ngiyanibingelela igama lami uThembi as uJesse ashilo. Thank you kakhulu ukuthi sibe la sonke. Into esingayo ingathi, and we have to say thank you kwi Department of Sports nomkhandlu weTheku ukuthi ngempela bayenzile le ethi nothing about us without us. Angithi it's that our slogan, we know it. Ngicela thina se sector sithi yes siyabonga mkhandlu weTheku siyabonga. As uJesse ashilo aqala ukuthi this is ilanga lanamhlanje, a world known awareness ye autism. We have our brotherhood and sisterhood aba autistic. Kufanele ngisho mina njengoba ngimile la ngithi ayeye autism ayeye ayeye autism ayeye. And then thank you to our parents that they take responsibility of us as people with disabilities. I have to get into back to the program where I was supposed to be. Siqalisa ma presentation, guys, and sila ukuthi sivuleleke. We have to ask, mhlambe labantu sizobabiza la ngaphambili, we have to listen carefully and note each and every question efanele ukuthi simbuze lo muntu ozobala nawo wonke umuntu ozobala phambili singaphumi singazanga ukuthi yini okukhulunywa ngayo. And I-presentation ezoqala njengamanje our presenters wonke ama presenters engizobe ngiwabizile mina ngizowacela ukuthi anote ukuthi ngizowapha lousely 15 minutes. Go to 15 minutes, it's an hour. I know ukuthi isikhathi eside leso angeke akwazi ukuthi angacomplaina. Maka ngibona sengithethwe nje eduze kwakhe uyazi ke yena ukuthi thini into. But the first presenter izobe ize la ngaphambili. There is a topic ezobe izokhuluma ngayo. Angifuni ukuthi ngiqale mhlambe ngabe ngiqala ngimusho while akhuphuka our first presenter Mini or chairperson ye eThekwini Sport Confederation. Ngiyathemba ukuthi siyamazi while akhuphuka ngisa introduce I-topic azoyenza ngicela sibe simshayele izandla. And Mr. Dlamini, if asala phambili, we will ask ukuthi as introduce the sports forum, because la eThekwini there is a sports forum, then uzayenza the presentation yakhe and then continue with a sports forum. The topics that first topic azoba akhuluma ngayo, it's integration and alignment of sports structure or federation association from what district and regional levels within eThekwini municipality. Uzokhuluma kuyo yonke lelo side ukuthi mayelana nesport si alignwe kanjani thina kwethu ukuthi if sekayishilo leyo nto sibuze mhlawumbe khona la esingekho khona la esinga understand khona, but we will ask him. And then the point number 2 uzobe topic number 2 uzoba athi to capacitate officials and introducing disabled people, which is people with disabilities, into numerous sporting codes, transformation and development. Developwa kanjani uzoba sifundisa lokho, how to establish everything about sport. Kodwa thina as eThekwini Municipality Disability Forum, we have to listen carefully, because we do have abantu kwi forum abahlalayo kuyo, those who are interested with sports. Here we have to take those notes and questions, and then we'll take back to our forum, invite everybody to join sport, because siyazi ukuthi kwi disability parliament we have to encourage the health lifestyle to every person with disability ukuze ahlale healthy. Sports senza everything kwimpilo yethu. Ayeye disability, ayeye. Over to you, Mr. Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Program Director, for the section. Madam Umadlala, but before going forward, can I call upon a panelist to already have Mr. Macingwane, Ubabu Mchunu from KwaZulu-Natal Sport Confederation. I'll request Mr. Dumsan Undumiso Nyawose as a Pambidi, chairperson, KZN Blind Cricket. One of our panel member, I will request to be Konozomsiza, Ezoza, no letter, Zulu, Umakeba, Bezo Sizana coming forward. If Baba Tsingwane, there was a DJ in the house, I was gonna say, DJ, just play nice music. So we'll be having a panel where we'll discuss already a topic esikwazile ukuthi ivezwe on the house. So as I'm a panelist, they are coming forward. I think I will start with Undumiso. Undumiso is coming from KwaZulu-Natal, is a chairperson playing cricket. Usanda uqopha umlando nje coming as administrator of the year, etholi award yayikhona la, so he was the administrator of the year when we're talking about sport in South Africa. Singamnikeza izandla in that part. And then we have Umakeba, who's a chairperson here at Ethekwini Basketball, even leading basketball, our national teams. I think as Lokuzanite, we are very rich in that part of basketball. Can you give him a round of applause? And then we have Ubabu Mchunu Sesimbonide, who's the president of KwaZulu-Natal, who's a member Yagasaskok dealing with the membership of South Africa. When we're talking about the sport, but specifically when we're talking about the membership, Macingwane is dealing with that part. So as a sporting, it's got a huge history when it's come with administration, where I will need just a section for that part to introduce and Macingwane uhambe kanjani with sport. Can we give him a round of applause? We just have iskashana nje to present a program noma hlambe ama topics regarding sport confederation, especially making sure we have the alignment regarding sport disability. Ezike iTheku hlambe baMacingwane noma Keba no Nyawos. eThekwini we have people who are dealing with the sport specifically with the disability, who are making sure ukuthi sirana ngendlela ekuyiyona. I think we have Mr. Buthelezi ohleli khona la to make sure ukuthi this program, when we're talking about sports alignment regarding our structures, we not just talk nje, but we need to make sure ukuthi oshenge abayipart, especially disability sport, bayakwazi ukuthi advise and make sure ukuthi they are coming forward to make sure ukuthi participate with sport, but looking at specifically for sport. So for us, especially when we're talking about izinto ze sport, especially for eThekwini, is to make sure ukuthi mhlambe as eThekwini, all boundaries, when we're talking about structures, there is structures as eThekwini, specifically for sport. So as ngoba sikhona la, we want to see sport growing eThekwini, but because today we are focusing with disability sport, as eThekwini, mhlambe we're looking at to make sure ukuthi when we're talking about some structures, abantu they are aligned with those structures. But how can we do the alignment, especially for structures? As eThekwini, you need to make sure ukuthi mhlambe we're starting from ama federation. We have ama federation who are dealing with ama sporting code, but now to make sure ukuthi they're coming aligned, especially with disability sport, especially even looking at ama ward committees. I remember mhlambe bamacingwane we were doing ama election. One of the ward mhlambe Mlaza, there was a lady or any disability, but he participated in that meeting, and then what was for elector. So when we're talking about the alignment, especially for disability, we want to say ubamacingwane phumani lani khona and come and have ama engagement and make sure ukuthi mhlambe isport sizokwazi ukuthi senze ngendlela ekuyona. So we have two topics that will be assisted by a panel. It's just that for me ukuthi ngidlalele and make sure ukuthi mhlambe I pave the way ukuthi when we're talking about the alignment of sport eThekwini, what we are talking about. So eThekwini, we have a structure where we would say eThekwini, we're looking at one, we have ESCO yethu, eThekwini Sport Confederation, who's leading all the processes, when we're talking about some structures, sport, and then we have a council where after Tina Nati as the Lokuzani ESCO, we're sitting, we have a council where we're coming together as a federation, we're coming together as a district, and then we have a structure zige, and then a commission when we're talking about eThekwini. I know something but we have a commission that are dealing in that part, and then we have a district committees from 10 districts, and then we have wadi 111. I know Shampe Umamkati, I always hear eThekwini, I would say 11, maybe today they are 12. And then we'll come back tomorrow, they are 13. But currently, we were working with 11 wards. And then Shampe from those wards, especially those committees, how we inform them, especially to make sure ukuthi abakhona. We're looking at some clubs, looking at ama association, looking at ama organization, specifically for ama lokuzana, ama ward. 11 wards, they are 111 wards, we can confirm ukuthi eThekwini iwona khona. But for formulation of these committees is to make sure ukuthi provincial and national, when we're talking about disability, you have access, you have opportunity to have ama engagement, especially for sport saseThekwini. We have ama ward 8 mhlambe bamacingwane 111 aseThekwini to need to make sure ukuthi there is ama operation, and we need to make sure ukuthi mhlambe when we're talking about another mandate of disability sport, siyakwazi ukuthi as ama committees ekhona la nama district ayakwazi ukuthi athatha abafowethu nodadewethu bathi wozani sizosebenza, especially in the ward level, even in the district level. So for us, especially moving even nakuyi lokuzana kuma district, that is another process of saying let's engage with the disability sport to make sure that we are participating in that part. So namhlanje mhlambe we are not talking about theory of saying where those structures, but abafowethu nodadewethu from what level, from district, they are here, even ama federation, to make sure that when we talking about how can we make sure that we align when it's come with program yelokuzana disability sport ihamba ngendlela ekuyiyona bangezwa nabo of saying go and implement, but you are here with everyone abazokwazi ukuthi participate. Even hlampe with ama federation, as ngoba ngimenshina ukuthi we have ama federation here to make sure ukuthi some of them I know ukuthi they still don't have ilokhuzana I program noma alignment. When we're talking about sport, we can be saying we are very happy in some of the federation who are making sure ukuthi hlampe when we're talking about alignment and make sure ukuthi wonke umuntu uyakwazi participate when we're talking about disability sport, or specifically in that sport ukuthi yakwazi ukuthi yamkele everyone. Hlampe ke for now, can I stop hlampe in that part? Hlampe omageba and then hlampe ke nonyawo senobamacingwane, especially they can add in that part of alignment when we're talking about ama structures aseThekwini, even provincial. I know they can add some of the stuff because panel as ikhona la, they can talk from international, even with district level. So I can give them now the opportunity to touch in some of the stuff of the alignment. I know basketball, they have a basketball wheelchair. Maybe they can say how we are working, especially when we're talking about disability sport, why they choose it, ilokuzana, basketball. Some of you will say, why ungachuzanga, hlampu deaf, why ungachuzanga? But Umakeba will explain to us. Even hlampe Unyawos will explain to us why they chosen a cricket for ulokuzana blind. Ubamacingwane even ne alignment, I know ukuthi it's got a huge program when we're talking about disability sport, making sure ukuthi it's running proper and making sure ukuthi ama opportunities ayakwazi ukuthi abe khona. I will give ilokuzana a panel hlampe starting with Umakeba, especially looking at that part. Nangu-ke okay. So he's assisting me umadlala la ukuthi how we'll be working, especially for the part for this program. I think Hlampu program director will come on board and akwazi ukuthi asinikeze. Hlampe another part, especially when we're looking at capacity building or ama programs or training, we know ukuthi hlampe even administration, hlampe ubaba uSkhosana nobaba Macingwane, they will tell us ukuthi how to make sure ukuthi hlampe when we're talking about capacity building will not be the same, but it can be the same, especially in environment yethu, especially how can we deliver a proper for disability sport of saying when we are entering as an administrator, these are a requirement you need to follow. Moving even with technicality, there is all coaching, but those parts are more specifically when we're talking about ilokuzana, ama federation, where they would talk about coaching, where they would talk about officiating. There is another stuff, especially making sure when they're talking about capacity deliver as ilokuzana disability sport. I think for us, as KwaZulu-Natal noma eThekwini, we are making sure ukuthi hlampe when we're talking about capacity building is happen to everyone, but you need a model, especially maybe looking at taking for people hlampe esinabo kwilokuzana kwi-sector yethu ama federation ukuthi if you're talking about officiating for blind cricket, maybe for basketball wheelchair, maybe for netball deaf, what are the requirements? How can we make sure? Because when we're talking about this conference, we have people from Ward, we have people from Amalokuza and Ama district. So they need to know what, if I want to do this training, how can I do? Especially even the people nje, ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi babe part of the capacity building and the transformation when we're talking about e-sport. So balancing even hlampe ne-gender yethu that we have, because as we are talking about e-sport, you will find that there is a certain gender maybe dominating, especially for certain things. But we need to make sure that let's try ukuthi zonke lezi zinto ziyakwazi ukuthi zikwazi ukuthi zibe in line. So when we're talking about the capacity building, it's a very huge and big sector when we're talking about KwaZulu-Natal. But those things, especially we need to just to come on the ground to draft it and say, what committees, how can we work together? You say you want maybe a coaching clinic for wheelchair basketball. How can we be assisted? You want a netball, how can we be assisted? So those are the capacity building now. We will say, let's move in that manner and be assisted by people who are running this federation, who are running this program, so that it can be having a nice synergy when it's come to Ilokuzan, sport development and sport transformation. I think when a program director is on your side, it means your time is almost there. Angit, not finished, almost there. Thank you very much. I will give it to back or program director.
Sibonge, Sibelikhulu. It's time for us now to get talking with so much talent on one floor, people who can give you the ins and outs and the know-hows. Must kuluma about sports. I'm just going to start with Undumiso. Now, Undumiso has also been nominated for the KZN Awards and won quite. How many did you win, Undumiso? He won one award for the KZN Awards, but was also nominated for the National Awards for the Best Administrator in the year 2021, which is a huge achievement. For that at first. So I want to know from you, cricket is a sport where not only with the people who are considered to be able-bodied, but people with disabilities, nabo, bane challenge in terms of race and other things. But more than anything, what are some of the challenges that you face within the disability sector that you feel the municipality can come through and assist with?
Firstly, let me just greet everyone. Right? As well. So within cricket, I'll speak more so for a blind cricket because that's where I am. But within cricket in general, the biggest challenges, especially for blind cricket, being people who are visually impaired. Obviously, the first thing is usually being able to move around, transport. So quite often that's been a challenge that was there for many years. And I think we've been lucky within the last year that Evacuation municipality has been able to come on board in assisting us more in getting transport for our players. Some of them end up not coming to our practice, not because they don't want to attend, but because there's no transport for them. That's more than anything in the and as well you'll find that in terms of funding I guess I'm sure wonke umuntu uzokhala funding at some stage, but funding is also a huge problem in that players being able to specialize in the sport, it's not easy ngoba uzothola ukuthi for let's say in sighted cricket, like cricket is we born on TV, those players are getting paid to do what they do. Meaning, bayakwazi ukuthola equipment when they need to, bayithengela izinto the right bats, the right playing shoes, that will assist them. Which bayakwazi ukutraina every day, bathole access to wonke ama-facilities at the stadiums or wherever, bakwazi ukusebenzisa i-gym and all these different things. So naloko it assists them kakhulu in that they become even stronger. So even for us, into esiyifisayo ukuthi at least for the efforts that abadlali are really putting in, it would be great ngempela ukubabona abadlali at least begcina sebethola, even if ngingathi it's not income that can maybe fully support them, but at least something as a motivator even more that they keep working on a craft yabo, because we've got some really talented players. Like KZN, for example, bekhona abadlali abawu-4 who recently traveled to Pakistan to represent the South African blind cricket team. So definitely, talent icon, the guys work hard. So it would also be great to get more assistance for the guys individually, but only rights on a more consistent basis. And then get nokuthola ama-facilities okudlala, ama-ground rights, because quite often zothola ukuthi by the time any disabled cricket is looking for a ground right, lokudlala in a pitch and so on, that's prepared kahle, most often uzothola ukuthi kuthiwa, ayi, the ground has already been set for sighted cricket at clubs, women's cricket, schools cricket, every kind of cricket except disabled cricket. Yabo. So it's always a challenge nalapho to get a venue ezoba right, ezokwazi ba accommodator that's accessible for abadlali, because once again then the transport becomes inkinga. If itholakala ground uzothola ukuthi lile kude liqhelile, so it's not easy for all the players to get there once again. So those are usually some of the biggest problems that we're facing with blind crickets or disabled crickets.
All right, thank you so much. And now moving on to you, Makeb. Usibal here spoke about transformation and development. Now, I know basketball is one of the biggest genres that are growing at the moment. I know it's become big in schools and everywhere. Do you think that in terms of transformation and development, that eThekwini municipality is moving the right direction? And also, what kind of assistance do you think they can still offer with regards to that?
Okay, thank you, Program Director, and good morning, everyone. I think there's a huge gap looking at your able and disabled. One thing that we have to acknowledge to be the metro that takes care of our athletes, that always wants to see players striving, regardless of their ability. Of which that one is really important, because they always look at how exactly that they can improve in terms of the standard when it comes to sports, and making sure that eThekwini is a backbone of SA in terms of representing players. The biggest challenge, I'll go back to what Undumiso has mentioned. You look at your disabled people when they try to run a program, of which is your wheelchair league. The first thing that they will try and voice out is the issue of the wheelchairs. It's the issue of transportation. It's the issue of budget, of which those are the things that I actually believe that we still have to sit and look at how exactly that we can make adjustment and make sure that our fellow colleagues feel comfortable. Because it's one thing that we have to understand. We can run an association and have wheelchair basketball. And at some stage, there is that isolation mentality that it's like we don't belong to a certain group, of which we still have to try engage that one and make sure whenever we have a wheelchair or any sporting code, it might be a disabled code, able code, they have to get the same treatment. But what I've noticed with a transformation when it comes to sports with Umasipala, we're getting there. I'm not going to say we right there 100%, but we're taking baby steps each and every day in order to improve the standard of disabled sports. Because I can speak on the able side, but I've seen the challenges that they're facing. Because each and every time when I try to discuss certain issues, the main issue will be raised, it's your transportation. We don't have the right equipment. So I actually believe that we have to look at where we have to try and engage each other, have more of indaba, and say what exactly that we can sort out and have a direction where abantu who are playing disability sports, where they can feel comfortable, maybe to a point where they're being neglected. Because that one, it is really important. Once we can be able to take care of that one, then we have Team eThekwini that is well united.
Thank you so much, Sebong, Kuletha Zulu. We apologize to the people who have been left out of the conversation. Ngenxa yokuthi asikwazi ukuhlanganisa ilimi kodwa sizozama ukuthi sifake isiZulu sihlanganise nesingisi konke kanye kanye sixolise kulelo ndawo. Socela nje nama panelists ethu ukuthi sizame ukuxuba ukuze ke nalabo abangakwazi ukuthi basizwe isilungu bangasali ngaphandle. Baba Macingwane ngisengizoza kuwena njengoba ke ubezwa abantu abasha abakhona kuma sports bakhala ngokuthi ama resources awekho bakhala ngokuthi I-transport lokhishiwe indaba yayo kanye nama sponsorships izinto ezifana no income kanje nawe baba Dlamini ngizocela ukuthi nawe usize ulekelele kulombuzo esiuphendulayo yini noma ngithi ikhona yini inhlelo ezikhona ukuthi lama issues abawavezayo a-addresseke anytime in the near future?
Hey, Nkungebe. Mase kukhulunywa ngemali, kukhulunywa ngesinye isilwane. Kodwa ke if we are serious about transformation, because transformation is not only about color, but transformation is also about the disability sport, that it is well taken care of. Unfortunately, these days we are living in a time where sponsorship is difficult for everybody, especially with the COVID issues. But lokho okukhona, let's share it together with disability sport. And transformation should happen as it has been happening in the country. More budget was put in order to fast track the previously disadvantaged groups. Why not now the sports budget, the greatest chunk be put on disability sport? Bekumnandi kade sisathi sonke siyadla sizama ukusondela kwababengcono. Asikuvumeleni ukuthi disability sport has been marginalized for a long time. And it won't take 1 year, not 2 years. If we are honest and put resources amaningi with disability sport, we may need almost 10 years. And some people say the best time of planting a tree was 10 years ago. And the next best time is today. So, lokho esingakwenzanga nge-disability sport kule minyaka edlule. Asingaqali kusasa ngoba ngeke kuqaleke. From today, let's start with it. So, I know umkhandlu wethu has got a nice budget for sports. Babuhlungu awusikhondla khondla sikamasipala lesi. So let us reprioritize the budget to put the disability sport on the agenda. Whatever ongaya with disability sport will not be enough, Jacinta. But the colleagues from disability sector will be satisfied that they will see that everybody is taking them seriously. Let's not complain ukuthi imali ayikho for ukuthi siqhubeke sivule igap between the mainstream sports and disability sport. Lengeko, ayivali gap, masihlupheka, sihlupheke sonke. Thank you.
Siyabonga. Awungakhulula. Oh, okay, no, ngiyezwa.
Thank you very much. I think especially answering some of the question. One, especially to make sure that disability sport, you are aligned. When we're talking about alignment, we're talking about say, let's have structures, let's be in structures. If there is some issues, because as Bamacingwane ebe ukuthi kukhona la ifaka khona imali ku sport, but let's say go mainstream. But if mina with disability sport and say sikhona, I'm looking at ubab councillor la, ukuthi there is ama processes esiwamuvayo. I think na as a councillor azange asho ukuthi because I'm having a certain disability, I will be closed kwezinye izinto. Mhlambe we are moving in the same pattern of saying as people of sport with disability, come forward and say, let me not looking at what ngini, but let me looking at what we want to achieve, we'll achieve. Not now, not tomorrow, but we'll achieve one day, especially as a representative. Kwilokuzana kwi-sector ngiswengikuyona. Maningi ama-sporting code esinawo, mhlambe kwi-province nakhona la eThekwini. But kufuna umuntu ozokwazi ukuthi aphakamise isandla abese yakwazi ukuthi sikhona noma senikhona but asebenzeni. So i-alignment, that is another part of saying if i-administration yethu as ilokhuzana i-disability sport i-proper and i-right, I think kuzo zonke izinto esobe siyidinga because besihlelekile akekho ngeke afuna ukufaka imali yakhe entweni engahlelekile. Wonke umuntu uzofuna ukubona ukuthi ihlelekile this thing, let me put money. Even nama structures, they will make sure ukuthi if you are on board kubona ubu raise isandla and say on us we want 1, 2, 3, you will be supported. But if when I will say I mina disabled yini ngasifaki, there will be a problem. But if you say these are the programs that you want to achieve with sporting code sethu, I think we'll get a proper support.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Ngizobuyela nje ku babunyawo selapha nawe Mageba. Ngifisa ukwazi ke as young people who are working towards creating more awareness and creating better facilities for people living with disabilities in sports. Ukuthi, what is it that you feel ninage need to do from your part to increase that awareness, create that integration, that transformation, or do you rely heavily on umasipala and government to do that?
Yes, we do rely on all masipala and but also at the same time, yeah, it is true that we have to play our part. Ngingathi nje mhlawumbe for some years masithathe like association yethu KZN Association for Blind Cricket. For years, I don't think enough was being done to reach out one to all masipala nohulumeni kodwa as well, even just emphakathini. It's always great as well to take sports to abantu la bekhona. You know, I think nalokho it makes a difference because uzothola ukuthi esikhathini esiningi disabled sport is not publicized ngendlela efana compared to le sports esijwayele ukuyibona kumabonakude and so on. So even that that side of things, if you're not having access to resources now, then the next best thing mhlawumbe ke i-word of mouth, because at least mekhona abantu abakhulumayo ngalento eniyenzayo and lo muntu usetshola umakhelwane noma ke naye uze how yazi nami nginayo ingane engaboni kanje kanje, I didn't know ukuthi there's a sport like this, because uthola ukuthi lezo zinto as well they motivate labo bantu with those disabilities to realize it's okay, no, actually as in anged, I wasn't aware. Kodwa ke manje khona abanye abantu engahlangana nabo who are in a similar position to myself, and nami there's maybe something I can do. Next thing abantu baya kwezinye indawo sebaya-travela through sport benze ezinye izinto they never thought were possible in a situation yabo. So I think it's very important to think about Leo social aspects from our side as disabled or sports organizations as well.
Okay, I think on my side, it starts with the administration part. Once you have the right people in that particular structure, people who can do administration, of which that's a challenge that we're facing in our country, where people, they sit in positions, they don't have a direction. What they are happy with, it's positions and not looking at which they're killing the sport. So once you have people that are committed in that committee, then you have people that will draft a certain program that will accommodate what they have and say, can we try and market our programs? You can forward a document to municipality, you can forward the document to private sector and market yourself and say, this is what we have. This is a player that have achieved so many things. If we need a courtesy car that can transport certain players to certain trainings, or we need wheelchairs. Everything it deals with getting the right people who will do the administration and have a vision on what they want to achieve. Because if you don't have those people, we're still going to go back and we're not going to have any direction.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to you, Ndumiso. When talking about people with disabilities, there's a multiple range of disabilities that exist in the world throughout. How then does the municipality or the province then decide, let's focus on this, if within the community there's a lot of divide, which has been the common trend, community of people with disabilities as well?
I think in terms of that, firstly, was that if your administration and so on is sorted out in terms of the different sporting codes, then when you are reaching out to Omaspala and you make yourself more visible, be aware that these sports or these sporting codes exist. Then from there, more budget is required for disabled sports. Let's first make sure we sort out all the sides, all the usual sports as such as rugby, and then get a portion. I think it's probably a time where more needs to be done to open up your budget, but at the same time, maybe what are all the various resources, facilities that are required for each sporting code? Because amanyama sporting clubs they need a bit more in terms of facilities and things like that, or equipment more in this sport compared to lenenye. So I think the more those people make themselves visible, the more it can maybe be easier for Omaspal and so on to include them with budget accordingly.
All right. Mr. Dlamini, so when talking about the different people living with disabilities, kukhona le aspects engiqeda ukuyisho ukuthi within the community kukhona vele lokuhlukana okukhona akuyona i-community engazuthi ukuthi umuntu one-disability bonke bayafana, it's like a pattern, ayikho leyo nto. So as umasipala ninawo yini ama-resources are enough manibuka, or are you planning to increase ama-resources ukuze nikwazi uku-accommodate all types of disabilities?
I think program directing that part, I know there is another section when it's going to be talking about ama facilities, talking about everything. I think they will be unpacking Omam Sandra, especially making sure when we're talking about ama facilities, when we're talking about ama funding, Kampo Mamkumalo, they would dwell in that part, no Babu Skosana, especially looking at even equipment. I think for us, with a section, we're looking at the alignment for our structures, looking at Utama capacity building and training. How can we make sure Utbaya was Uti, Abanba participate, especially for ward level, district, regional level, even Hlampe Gobasina one provincial level. So Hlampe for us, I think as the sport confederation, we want to make sure Uti Hlampe when we're talking about disability sport, kuma structures, everyone who corner and we are was and Hlampe umuntu if uvezile we have a number of federation, especially looking at Paralympics, participate. Nathi as a Tewin Hlampe, we need to looking at those federation akon ukuthi how many we have kulawo esinawo ayakwazi ukuthi aligned, especially with the disability sports. I think that is a part we need to make sure ukuthi Hlampe as a Tewin Sport Confederation siyakwazi ukuthi develop from district level to ward level, even nama federation.
Right. Later. Kukhona ama-global trends mawubuka emhlabeni jikelele when talking about issues of transformation and development. Akhona yini nini esekene kahlala as basketball nawabuka and thought ukuthi these might work for Nina and actually assist maybe not just in basketball but in sports in general.
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. There is a huge gap between basketball, as in able, and wheelchair basketball, of which everything starts with the mother body. If there is no proper blueprint that governs everything on what exactly that has to happen at national to province and to district level. But what I've tried to do a couple of years back, it was try to come up with certain ideas on how exactly that we can able to assist the wheelchair basketball. Because one thing that we have to make sure we banga feel as if they're being deserted. Because one of the things when I was engaging with a KZN chairperson, Gagwin Chair, was the ideas we can start a 3-on-3 if there is less people that are playing basketball within eThekwini. Because remember, as much as there is a KZN team that normally represent us at national level, but what exactly is happening within eThekwini? So the minute you start with a 3-on-3 event, where we have a Premier League, where we can give our wheelchair colleagues an opportunity to play so they can be seen. That way, what are we doing as eThekwini basketball? We're promoting the wheelchair basketball, and we're giving a recognition to what exactly is happening around. And whoever that is coming to watch our games is going to turn around and say, hey, you know what, mate, there is a wheelchair basketball that is happening. So, you know, it has to be about trying to spread the word by having programs of which we're still going to be involved with wheelchair, try to come up with solutions on how exactly that we can be able to assist them. Because there's no ways that we have officials that have international wheelchair refereeing license, but we don't have table officials that are supposed to be running programs for disabled. We can't have, at some stage, more able people running table officiating for disabled. So those are the things that we have to look at on how exactly that we can assist, how we can transform everything so it can suit what we have within eThekwini.
All right, and Sissy Valanje, it's going to be the last question. We had the Paralympic Games and always looking to building athletes that can compete at a national stage for all our sporting codes, because that's ideally how we grow each and every sports. both Letu Zulu and as well as yourself, Ndu. What are some of the things that you feel you also still need to do to achieve a better result in terms of Paralympics in South Africa? I'm not talking just cricket and basketball, but sports, people with disabilities in sports in general.
I'd say it's a very tricky one, but I think mhlambe, one of the first things is mhlambe, ukuxhumana nabantu from other nations really makes a difference. Ngoba uzothola ukuthi if you are trying to maybe get in contact with guys from amanye amazwe, like sinenhlanhla kule nto, because you've got izinto like Facebook or Twitter and so on, where mhlambe association yenu can get in touch with the association from another country where mhlambe baya excel at national level or internationally. So I think even those kinds of communications can help, so that if nikwazi eventually to end up competing against labo bantu more regularly, then it assists nezinga lokudlala back at home, because people, your guys are now more exposed. All the Paralympians would be more exposed to training techniques that side, or whatever different methods they use, because the more knowledge on nayo is the better none that you can become. Nikwazi mixes in izinto mono, okay, what are the things we can learn that will improve ourselves as well? So trying to do Leo research with the online as well, buka video or whatever, and funde whatever you can. All those kinds of things, yeah, people need to think more about the game that they're competing in every way.
All right, Sabonga Niezwag associations, even no TikTok, no Facebook, yes? And make those videos trend, why don't you? All right, later.
Okay, Nzothanda Kluga, it's two things that are really important. One is love, two is support. If we show love to abantu with disabilities, then the mindset can shift. If we show his support, then that particular athlete will know exactly that he has the support from the province, he has the support from the national, and whatever that he or she will be doing in terms of training, that person will go all out and knowing exactly that a country is supporting him all out. So those are the most important things, the love and support for abantu disabled.
Thank you so much. I'd like to take this opportunity just to acknowledge amongst us now, we are joined by the Director for the Department of Sports and Arts and Culture within the eThekwini municipality, Mr. M. Bengu. Siyabonga kakhulu for being part of the program. Ngicela ukudedela ke now to facilitate the floor. This is your opportunity, Princess.
Well, thank you so much. I'm now going to open the floor for questions. Ngiyazi ukuthi there's a lot of issues that we want to talk about, but I'll kindly remind you, ukuthi, let us not deviate from the topic of discussion now. I heard people speaking about infrastructures, the barriers that exist in our communities. We will get to that in a later stage. But okwamanje, let's focus more on integration and alignment of sports structures, AMA federations and association from AMA wadi districts as well as a regional level. If you remember, some of those who were abekona kuma induction aid to AMA ward structures in our communities, one of the things that I noticed, ukuthi, kwamanye amaward, people with disabilities were not included, yet we speak of inclusivity. Those are the things that we need to go back and look into. Ukuthi, when we're forming AMA structures in our wards, are they inclusive of people with disabilities, or siba treat as a separate group? They need not to be segregated from the community. Ubabu Kansela uke wakhuluma wathi, people with disabilities, they are the most oppressed in the community. So manje, this is the opportunity for all of you here. ukuthi you raise those concerns that you have. We have all the relevant people in the house abazosiphendulela leyo mbuzo, and they're not just gonna jot them down. We have to make sure ukuthi lezo zinto that we're raising, it's not for the purpose of ticking the box. When they go back, they implement those changes. We want to see them happening in our communities. We want to see people with, as well as people without disabilities, working together as a unit. Also, they spoke about a capacitation of our officials, as well as introducing people with disabilities to numerous sporting codes. It will be very problematic if we're gonna have a code, for example, blind cricket. Yet from our administrators, the coaches, it's people without disabilities. Where are people with disabilities? What message are we sending out there? Are we trying to tell the community, ukuthi they're not able to facilitate, they're not able to perform administration duties, they're not able to coach, they need to be included. We've been saying, ukuthi nothing for us without us. So let us not think, ukuthi people with disabilities, this is what they need. Let us capacitate them. And I like this so much because in the National Sports and Recreation Plan, as well as the white paper on sports and recreation, it speaks about capacitating coaches and all the relevant people to push sport forward. Because as a country, we cannot expect to succeed internationally without a strong base of participation in our communities, because that is where the life of every champion begins. We need to make sure that in the communities, we have strong participation base and the relevant people. So without any further ado, I'll ask Ubuduetwe Sound to assist us with at least 2 roving mics azobe ehamba around as we ask questions. And once again, let us try by all means to stick to the topic of discussion at hand. Thank you so much. You can just raise your hand if you have a question to ask or anything to say, and then we will try to get ama mics to come to you. And singasabi lutho. If you want to roast them, we can roast them. This is the opportunity. We can ask any questions we want to ask with the intention of ukuthi sikwazi ukukhula and we see the changes. Not every time, year in, year out, we have the same discussions, but we don't see any changes. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Ngibingelele indlu yonke mase ngithi
Okay, there's a,
ngibingelele program director wethu uMrs Madlala ngibingelele abahlonishwa bonke phambili ngokuphelela kwami. No, ngizoqala nje kakhulu la kuma codes ethi sine disability mhlambe ngingakasho ama codes okhuluma uLindo kuhle wakamkhize eWard 54 ngaphansi kweorganization izethembe disabled people organization engiphinde ngihlale futhi kwiforum yaseThekwini as umuntu okhubazekile. Ngizoqala kule yama codes. Sizocela ukuthi mhlambe ama codes makuthiwa kune program ye sports kanje ama codes uma nibiza abazomelelela ama codes akube abantu abakwaziyo ukuthi njengoba bekhubazekile kuleso sport bayakwazi ukuthi bazidlale bona bese beyakwazi ukuthi basimelele. Ngizokalekisa njenge wheelchair basketball ngibone uSiphamandla Gumbe la